Welcome back. Welcome back. Let me grab my my handy dandy logbook here to take a look at exactly what week 2 of the running program from Coros looks like. So, week 2, Coros, medium difficulty, 12-week training program for the marathon that I intend to run for some reason. Last time I left you guys off with a promise that things were going to get better. And much like when it comes to running or working with horses or anything having to do with dolphins, it never does get any better, truly. However, there have been improvements. Primarily, Tuesday's 7K run. So, there were some drop-offs, and let me explain why. The reason that there were some drop-offs was because I had to keep fixing my pants. So, on that day, I wore a pair of shorts that I have never worn nor will ever wear again for athletic purposes. And the reason for that is chafing. Bad chafing. That was terrible. That was like absolutely horrendous. When it comes to any sort of chafing or cramping, I believe those are my Achilles heels. That was a hideous experience. Yeah, I never want to do that again. And I also have to warn you guys that this week will be a difficult week to kind of completely go over. And it's because it's the beginning of one of the worst weeks of my entire life. I'm not joking. So I got this kind of mediocre run out of the way on the Tuesday. No workout planned on Wednesday. However, there was a workout. My cat died. One of my cats. So I have 3 cats. Had 3 cats. I came down from Canada with 2. Tubby Toby and Bartholomew. Images are coinciding. Orange one is Tubby Toby, black one's Bartholomew. My wife added a 3rd one to the mix, Miss Scully, named after Scully from the X-Files. And Tubby and Bart. Tubby is the oldest of all of them. Exactly 10 years to the day, and he was already 1 year old. So he was 11 years old when he passed away on Wednesday. I discovered him. This is the first time I've ever had to do anything like this. I discovered him dead. I had to call my work and be like, I'm not going to be able to make it in. I am in too much of a wreck. He had heart failure, and that's what led to his ultimate demise, which was very unfortunate. I will be getting his ashes back soon. I stole some of his fur too. I hope he's not too mad about that. His chest fur. It was the softest part of him. And then Thursday rolls around. Just going to gloss over that just because, I mean, what else are you going to do at this point, you know? It's also one of the reasons why I've been so, I've been having a very difficult time recording. And I don't know if you can tell with my face and everything like that. I'm not in the best mental state. We'll go into more why in just a little bit because there's more that happened. Like I said, it's the worst week for a reason. Week, not day. So, on, what day was that? Thursday, the day after Tubby had passed away, I did a 7.16 mile with 6 strides. And it was pretty quick. It was a good run. That was a good run overall. I did have to stop and get control of myself from the very beginning of the run, though. And that's where the blue dive is on that. I wonder why. Right? Aside from that, it was a good run. I've been switching in between shoes, and at the end of the video, we're going to go into exactly which shoes I'm using. But yeah, it was a good run overall. Along with the spikes and the speed, I do go a little bit faster than it wants me to. I know I said I'm trying my best to stick to the plan. It's just when it gives me the opportunity to sprint, I will take that opportunity. I hate sprinting more than I hate doing distance running. However, if you're going to make me run, not walk. This is going back to the same complaint. Now on Friday, once again, there was no planned run. However, there was another planned workout because I had to wake my wife up early that morning because her cat went into liver failure. And fun fact, we still don't know why she did that. We took her to the vet clinic. She's fine. She made a full recovery. Miss Scully is fine. However, I went into the laundry room and saw her eating as she usually does. That's where they have their food, up high so the dogs can't get a hold of it. And she was eating, and I looked at her and I said to myself, that cat looks extraordinarily yellow. And I got very close and I took a picture. Here's the picture. For those of you who don't know, that's what jaundice looks like. Scully went completely yellow, and I was fairly certain that she was going to perish upon us. So I called my mother and I said, hey, does that vet clinic take walk-ins today? Well, they have to. Okay. So I ran upstairs, woke my wife up, and I said, you got to take Scully to the vet because I cannot miss another day of work. It gets worse. Don't worry. Next, I'm going to leave you guys on a cliffhanger because that was that the final thing that happened that week? Yeah. So that was the final thing. I'm leaving you guys on a cliffhanger. She's fine. We have to pill her many times a day until next week. And then she's going to go back in for a recheck. And the weirdest part is that like her liver levels and stuff like that, like the enzyme levels, were not technically high enough to cause that big of a change in coloration. And also her pee was neon orange. The veterinarians are stumped. They cannot figure out what's going on. Her appetite has returned back to normal. Her attitude has returned back to normal. Her attitude almost never wavered. Her screaming, and she screams all the time. She runs around and yells. Got a little bit more quiet. That's completely returned. She's totally fine now. And she's getting so hard to pill. She has such sharp teeth. She's just young. She's only about 3 years old. So 4 years old, I guess. But yeah. Anyways, poor Scully. F's in the chat for Tubby. And get well soon's in the chat for Miss Scully. Aside from that, that was on Friday. Saturday. Had another run. 8K easy. And it was easy. This was a very nice run. What time did I set off? In the morning. 6:57 a.m. What I typically do in the mornings for my runs is I wake up at usually around 4. I have my source of caffeine, and then I wait for about an hour, and then I go for my run. I usually don't eat before any of my runs, and I barely drink water before the runs. I'm like super hydrated from the day before still. I drink a lot of water typically. So that was an excellent run. It really was a good run. Let's be totally honest. About 20 minutes slower than what I typically run 5 miles in. No offense, Coros. But other than that, going out, getting your day started with a run is about one of the worst things you can possibly do on the planet. But it does gear you up for the rest of the day. If your day starts off sucking, there's pretty much only a chance it's going to go up from there. Now, that's not always the case, as you can tell from my previous week, but it it definitely seemed to be the case on that Saturday, because we went and picked up Scully that Saturday. So I was also supposed to do a core workout, didn't do that. 13K easy on Sunday. This would be the final day. This is the long run, quote unquote. I'm really trying not to touch the buttons on my microphone here. I almost called it a laptop. As best I can. Now, 8.61 miles. And this is another one that I wore a pair of shorts that I have never worn. I'm sorry, I'm just remembering. I threw these shorts out after this. That I have not worn ever for these sorts of runs. And so I chafed. I was already partially chafed from the Tuesday run. I think it was the Tuesday run, right? Am I going crazy? I'm pretty sure it was the Tuesday run. I was already partially chafed from that. Was still healing up from that. And then I was all but bleeding by that point. Luckily this time, last time I was having a really big issue with my nipples. I'm not having an issue with my nipples this time chafing. It's primarily just leg chafing, which, depending on who you ask, is worse. But that Sunday, it was pretty much only good news. I kept my heart rate right around the 148 mark. I'm very out of it, and I apologize. It's showing through, but I really needed to start filming these because I'm already 3 weeks ahead of schedule. So I really needed to start filming these. But I'm gonna go grab my gear, quote unquote. I'm gonna show you guys my shoes first. How close am I? Am I good? That's good. All right. My shoes. So these are for the shorter runs. These are for everything from the 3 to 8K region is what I use these for. Also the other morning on the 6K plus 6 strut. No, that was this morning. The other morning on, I believe, an 8K, I ran in these primarily because it was raining and they are still wet. Uh-oh, stinky. But these are the On Cloud, I believe, All Terrains, I think is what they're called. Super, super comfortable shoes. They've got a lot of curve, a lot of rocker in them, as you can tell. Very, very comfortable. They do have a good amount of arch support. And my personal favorite, look at the rubber outsoles. Whoa, wow. We love those. So primarily, I've been a Hoka guy, primarily. On Clouds have really changed that. Changed the paradigm in this household. Because of the rubber outsoles. And my other shoes are not Hoka's anymore either. They're the On Cloud Cloud Monsters. These things look hideous. This is one of the ugliest pair of shoes you'll ever see in your entire life. It's one of the reasons why I got them for such a steep discount. Originally, these things retail for like $160+, which is pretty typical, unfortunately, when it comes to higher end running shoes. However, I got these for $75 at Nordstrom Rack. Fun fact. Now, why do I prefer these over the Hokas? It is because I have put as many miles on these as I put on my Hokas, and I can still see tread. Whoa, crazy. My final pair of Cliftons from Hokas finally got wore out by the end of the last section for running. And the main reason behind that was because it rains down here. It rains quite a bit, and so it becomes slick. With it becoming slick, if you don't have traction on your shoes, you will fall. And I fell a couple of times because my shoes did not have any traction on them anymore. The cushion was still good. The upper sole was still good. The outsole was still technically good. It just was flat now. It had no more traction whatsoever. And it's because they don't really use any rubber on the outside of their outsoles. They just use like foam still. And I don't really know where the French get off doing that sort of thing. Time to fly, baby. Yeah, fly onto my ass because I just slipped and fell. That's it. Aside from that, what am I wearing on my body? Shorts. So, when it comes to shorts, my favorite running shorts as of right now come from Target. They are a Target athletic brand. I will show you guys the picture of them right now. They're not super expensive, and if you get them, like they are very, very true to size. I will just say that. Very true to size. Unfortunately, I thought they were going to run small, like something like from like Walmart or like some of the other name brands. So my original pair, which is the pair I'm currently wearing, are one size too big for me. So whenever I run in them, it's typically going to be shorter runs, and I have to like really cinch them tight in order for them to stay on. Go true to size. When it comes to these things, they come with a super, super awesome, fantastic innards in them, dude. So the exterior is made out of this really flowy fabric, really, really flowy fabric, and then the interior, of course, is going to be like a spandex material to hold all the ghibli bits all together. They also come with, on certain ones, 2 pockets, and on other ones, 1 pocket. Make sure you get the ones with 2 pockets, because all of mine, aside from my first pair, all only have 1 pocket. And with them only having 1 pocket, that pocket is very small. It might hold your phone. Might. It depends on the size of phone you have. If you have like one of those big like Z flips, not flips, but the ones that like fold out, I doubt it would hold it. I'm just saying. So that's like the one downside to them. Other than that, dude, fantastic pants. Absolutely fantastic. They clean super easily. They're super lightweight. They're very breathable. And they wick moisture away from you as well. You know, there's literally nothing more you could ask for. And then when it comes to running, what am I wearing up top? I'm not one of those freaks that's out there running with my shirt off. Okay? I think that's performative. I think you're just trying to show off, right? Nothing against you. You know, you got a good body, show it off. But at the end of the day, I'm going to be totally honest. If I'm driving down the road and I see a handsome man with his shirt off that's running, you know, that's a traffic accident waiting to happen. I don't want to be a traffic accident, okay, or a cause for a traffic accident. So on the top, I go to Goodwill. I go to other places. That's where I get my shirts from. I'm primarily using really cheap shirts because sometimes I do have to use a little bit of Vaseline on the old nip knops in order to make them not chafe. And if you guys don't know what Vaseline is, it's petroleum jelly. Petroleum jelly will stain your clothes. 110% it will stain your clothes, right? Just make sure that you're doing doing it responsibly. You're not chafing anything, and you are not staining any clothes that you would like to take to a wedding, a bar mitzvah, a bat mitzvah, anything like that. But if you guys have any questions, leave them down below. I will see you guys in the next one. This is where the training is really starting to amp up, so you guys better be ready for it. All right. Bye-bye.